record, minimize, and we should now. Yeah, we should be in the call. Okay, sorry about that. That was it's because I've got so many like screen shares and sound things to do. It took a bit more longer than usual. Welcome to Cloud Robotics Working Group Meeting, part 2 of the Canonical Observability Stack Tryout. So last time, if you remember, we got the stack set up, but we couldn't get a connection to it. But we got a robot running as well in a VM. We couldn't get it to connect to the stack either, so we couldn't access it through the web and we couldn't access it from the robot. Since then, I've set up a completely clean instance running through the same steps, but with the public IP from the beginning. That still didn't work. I asked Guillaume for assistance, and he was able to SSH in. Side note, I can't remember what the command is. It's Guillaume, you might have to tell them the command that astounded me.
SSH-import-ID and -GH for GitHub. It's actually the real command is SSH-import-ID, and you can actually provide a GH URL or LP for Launchpad, but for GitHub. And here you put the username, the GitHub username, and that will import the public IP that is stored on GitHub servers directly on the machine.
Which is amazing. This is brand new to me. I've spent so much time copying public keys out of notepads to get into my instances. What a time saver.
Yeah. So this is very good. That's how Michael gave me access to the machine. Just typing my name on GitHub, and it imports the public IP that I use for GitHub, and with my private IP on my computer, I can just SSH into machines very quickly. Yeah. You can even define that. Let's say you're using the Raspberry Pi imager. It can ask you also for the your GitHub ID, and that would bake this command into the Cloud Init, which is a software that is used at boot for Ubuntu images, and that would add your public IP, key directly to the image on first boot. That's very convenient if you are running headless Raspberry Pi and you don't want to have to connect a serial port or a screen, whatever.
Cool. So we got down to this is the command I was trying to copy out. So if I run this, we should see that everything is up and running. And the fix, as I understand it, is that traffic traffic was being told to host on the public IP, but it needed to be told to host on the internal IP and then be told that a public IP existed to serve on.
Exactly.
So how did you make that happen, Guillaume?
So maybe I can share my screen to do a bit of drawing to clarify things that I explained them. So do not consider what I'm telling you as hard truth, because I learned everything this morning. So I had never used AWS. I mean, apart from just putting a basic machine. So the first misunderstanding is between this public and private IP. So essentially, you would have a first environment that we call AWS, where you don't control anything, right? It's AWS stuff. And then inside AWS, you've got your machine. I'm going to code my machine. And here in the AWS, you've got the external IP. So the first thing that we noticed, because we never worked with it, is that internal IP. I had to connect via SSH with the external IP. But once I was in the machine, I was unable to see this external IP anywhere. When I IPA show, list all the IPs, all the interface, I was only seeing this internal IP. And turns out that this machine had no idea about the external IP. From my machine, I could ping this external IP, but I could not ping the internal IP. didn't exist. It was not even responding a ping, meaning that I could not even, yeah. So this is the first step. And it turns out that AWS will translate your external IP into the internal IP. There is some AWS magic, and it reaches there. I don't know really how it works, but this is not so much topic. I guess this is internal machineries of AWS.
OpenStack does the same concept. You have an external IP which is called the floating IP, and then but the machine itself is unaware of it.
Yeah. So the first thing I try to do is to host a basic web server on port 80 on the internal IP. And I can host, but again, from my laptop, this is probably going to be, this is, yeah, not transparent anyway. From my laptop, I could never reach this internal IP. So I could host, I can reach here, but I could never reach the internal IP. Even if I was hosting a web server, nothing was working. And if I was trying to move this web server, not hosting on the internal, but hosting on the external IP, the machine would say, no, impossible, because actually this IP doesn't exist. And indeed, in the scope of the machine, the IP doesn't exist. So this translation is happening, meaning that our Juju and our traffic, our traffic here, our cropped traffic, is actually only aware of this internal IP. So it can only know about that. So the first time that we try to deploy, it was actually correct, meaning that traffic and MetalLB actually and traffic should pick up this internal IP because it doesn't know any better. The problem is that we could then not reach to it because we were trying to reach to the internal IP directly. And if you deploy traffic and MetalLB with the internal IP, and if you use the external IP, so let's say that here you host internal / hello world, hello world. From your laptop, you can actually hit external.hello world. That could have worked the first time we tried it out, actually, but we just we didn't. I had no idea about this double IP thing in AWS. Now there is a small important detail is that traffic knows only about this internal IP, and traffic, by serving web pages and other applications, it will build web links, right? Like page 1, page 2 of whatever websites you're serving. And if traffic only knows about internal IP, all the links that are going to be built with this internal IP. Meaning that if you, let's say, click inside this web server on page 2, it will try to reach internal page 2, but again, your laptop cannot reach internal IP. So you need to make traffic aware of this external IP. So,
quick question in between. I thought traffic was a reverse proxy.
Yes.
A reverse proxy doesn't change the like it. I mean, yes, it can reject requests to it that are addressed to a name that it doesn't recognize, but that's usually DNS names, not IP names. Is it that we used an IP as the sort of domain name for traffic? Is that the issue here? Because the IP issue is usually you were talking about external and internal IP. There, the solution is usually that you have the server, in this case traffic, bind to 0000, which is the universal IP for everything on the host. Would that not have worked in this case?
I guess it could have worked, yes, but the way traffic is configured in Juju and everything, it serves only one IP. And the reason is that you might want in the future, like for basic deployment, 000 would have been fine, but for more complex deployment, you might want to serve, to have multiple traffic serving different IPs and different interfaces. We have, you can complexify your deployment and have, let's say, the robotics aspect of it served with a traffic that anyone can access in the world. So all your robots can push data, but maybe your administration panel, you don't even want to build in security. You simply want to serve it on a different IP that's not served to the world. This way, only people internally can access to this specific thing. So it would have been a solution indeed to put 0, but this is not how traffic is pre-configured in the Juju Charm world.
Got it. So it was actually by design. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So one thing that indeed traffic is also doing is that it's providing the IP that it's serving to the different applications. This way, when you have your web server, you can rebuild URLs for this external IP / page 2, page 3, and so on. So essentially, we needed a way to tell the traffic, hey, you're serving on this IP, but actually you are this other IP. And here it's the Charm Hub. So this is where you can find all the applications that that are available. So if you search for traffic, you'll find it. And traffic has integrations, like we've seen, for providing its metrics, its dashboard, and everything, but it can also have some configurations. And we found this external host name configuration, so the DNS name to be used by traffic when providing its host to other application. So the problem was that we were providing to the other applications our internal IP and not the external IP. So by default, it's set to what the load balancer is serving, but you can set it to a different IP. So what we did is that we simply said to traffic, by the way, your external IP is this one. And this makes the different application served directly on the external. So instead of this, they are external, and all the links are baked with external as well. So this is a simple configuration that we we essentially typed in the terminal juju config traffic external host, and then I put the external IP here. That's essentially to give you the context of how we configure it. This is very interesting to us because this is I guess a very common setup. So we will probably have few info and few steps in our documentation with related to that.
That leads me to a question. I think you just answered it by saying it's a common setup, but I was going to ask if I wanted to host this myself, say on a server at home, I'd have to do a similar thing, right? I'd have an external or a public IP from my ISP that I port forward through my router to my server, and then the same problem occurs. The external IP isn't known by traffic, and so we have to do the same external host name.
Exactly, yeah. We've been doing a lot of testing in environments where robots and servers are on the same network, so they can reach each other. But indeed, if you are exposing publicly your server, or if you have a more complex setup, this is an option that that you'll get to use, as part of the setup. So that's what we learned and did this morning.
Cool. Well, I'm kind of glad that it's not just a specific AWS thing. It's we've helped slightly more. Does anyone have questions on that before I start screen sharing again and continuing where we left off? Okay, so I will share my screen here. So if we show the status again, we now see everything is active and idle. And if we can get the next command, I haven't done this, by the way. So we get the proxied endpoints, and now we should be able to access these, and everyone on the call should be able to access these. Perfect.
And this is This is a feature.
Okay.
So Loki doesn't have a UI actually.
I picked exactly the wrong one to try out. Yeah, let's.
I recommend Catalog because it's the entry page that you would share to a team or whatever.
Okay. Be a bit more selective. Hey, we have a host. So I've put that in chat if anyone wants to have a look for themselves. And this actually links to the other services that are running. Cool. So the next step is to try and get the robot also connected in. All right. So let's go back. Go to the robot. And I'm afraid because I did a clean install to try and make sure there wasn't anything left over to break it, I don't remember how far down this list I got. Oh no, I haven't gotten bidirectional. Sorry about this. I need to load the docs on a page inside the VM. I thought I had bidirectional clipboard working, but I don't. This is Canonical Robotics.
You could SSH import your GitHub ID and shell SSH from your host internet.
That's a good idea. But then I won't have the desktop, I guess. We'll try that. See if we get the page. Ooh, that's bright.
You can change in the next to give feedback on top. You can put it for dark theme. On the right.
Oh, yeah.
Next,
thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Obviously, because I was going to change the IP and then didn't. (18) 170 104 123. Yep. Oh, wait. There you go. I did do some of this setup. That's a leftover from when I was doing it last time. Curl is empty. If the command returns that error's connectivity is correct. Excellent.
Don't you miss the -L, which does the forwarding from HTTP to HTTPS? Just run it again with the dash capital. Oh, is that the one?
This server is just served in HTTP.
Oh, I
there's
see.
no
Okay,
TLS for now.
Yeah.
So we probably have. Oh no, let's do it. Oh yeah, of course. That's the wrong thing. you noticed that in Ubuntu, clicking copy button on web pages doesn't work?
Really, I'm using it. Maybe it's inside the VM. That there's an issue.
Works on bare metal.
I think I had the same thing with a dual boot bare metal install, although I don't know if dual boot counts as bare metal. But hey, I'm sure it's an easy fix. Probably some configuration I just need to look at. Okay, we're running through the setup. It's going to be robot 1. I'm going to hope. No, I'm not. I'm going to type it out. 18, 170, 104, 123. Okay, so once this is complete, it should show up in the dashboard. So if we go to the dashboard, which dashboard? Registration server? Ah, yeah, okay. This is created.
No, so this is actually my robot. I created one this morning to verify that everything was up and running. You need to wait for your script to be done.
Okay, but we can have a look at.
Yeah, so this won't work because this is on my machine, this robot. So you're trying to connect to the.
Oh, so this is live.
WebSocket. Yeah, this is live.
Right, right.
If you want Grafana, you can. You see your robot is there. Robot underscore. Yeah.
I just noticed it pop up on the side there. So we do have. Hopefully Linux systems stats. Oh, Grafana's more complicated because there's an initial password you have to get to log into. Let's have a look at Foxglove instead. I think we can just run. Oh, this is still running, so I shouldn't get ahead of myself. But Walker, maybe. Ooh. I didn't install ROS2. Okay, so now we're just waiting for connections and installations to happen. Anyone want to explore anything? I've already posted the link, so feel free to poke around and see if there's anything interesting.
Remind me, is Foxglove pre-configured to connect to the robot using some sort of either Foxglove bridge or something else?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's using. So the robot is running the Foxglove bridge, and it has a default configuration with some topic only that are whitelisted, because otherwise, if you run the whole robot, you might, Foxglove bridge might hog on a lot of memory. And when you click on the link from the robot page, it's pre-configured with the URL of the robot. So when the robot registers, it pushes its URL to the server. And the Foxglove bridge, when you open it, it should, as soon as there is something up and running, it should let you visualize.
And how do you deal with VPN or things like that, right? Because the browser is not typically on the same network as the robot. How do you get to the robot? Do you also set up a VPN as part of this whole stack?
Yeah, so for now, what we've done, yes, we've done it with a VPN especially when you have very complex network setup. It's easier to have a VPN, and this way everything is accessed via the VPN. The robot can talk to the server. You can talk to the server, and you can talk to the robot wherever you are in the world. And we've also recently tried a setup with Dino. This is just an experiment, but yeah, we're hosting the Zeno router on the server and routing the ROS traffic from the robot to the laptop over the Zeno router in the cloud. This way, you don't need direct connection from the laptop to the robot, but just from the laptop to the server and from the robot to the server, which is rather standard usually. Computers can access internet usually, so hopefully.
Looks like this is going to take a while. So let's have a poke around and see if there's anything. We can try and get logged into Grafana. Grafana login. Okay, so there's no dashboard already set up. That's fine.
If you access Grafana directly from your robot page, you would get links that are pre-configured for your robot. The dashboard's already there, but otherwise you have to select your robot. So if you, in that Linux system would give you some Linux system data. This is 24 hours, so obviously you see a small dot, but if you reduce I don't know if you're familiar with Grafana, if you reduce this, if you put, I don't know, an hour, or it's got a bit more interesting data.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
But this will accumulate, right? It's just since the agent is running.
That's very cool. Here's the direct link if anyone wants to have a look as well.
I'm curious about authentication and authorization. So right now the design is a single tenant kind of setup, right? Where you don't limit, you assume that anybody who has access to that link shall have access to it, right? Like there's no so one thing that complicates robotic stacks often is that you have so many different personas, right? There's the company that makes the robot, they get admin access. Then there's the customer, and then at the customer, there's often multiple like roles of people, right? Maybe there's a manager, whatever, say of the warehouse where the robot works, or the hotel or the hospital where the robot works, and then there is staff. And so one of the things that complicates designs of robot stacks sometimes is that multi-tenancy and not just multi-tenancy, but sort of role-based access control on top of that. Have you given that any thought, like how you would solve that in a context like this, where you could you somehow limit the data access? I guess what's the data store behind this Grafana? Is it all just Prometheus?
Yeah, Prometheus and Loki for the logs. Yeah. So yes, we've given a thought, and actually we've even started working on that. So this is part of our identity work, where we would have not only like security regarding who can access, like you can only access if you're part of an organization, and even if the IP is public, but also the role-based access control. This is not production ready, but we're working on it. We have a full team actually dedicated to all this stack. It's just not fully ready yet, but yes, we will. Yeah, this is a feature that will come at some point. I cannot give you a timeline yet, but yes, we rely on well-established technologies, so Hydra, Kratos, and all those open source, like trusted open source software that are standard as well. We working towards integrating them so they can, similarly, the same way you've deployed Cost for robotics, you can deploy another stack called Identity and just integrate them together, and you will kind of magically have an identity stack. But yeah, but the thing is that it has to integrate.
Yeah, not sure I understand the magic part there. I understand why it seems magical, but I don't know how it works, because like in my mind, the all of it comes down to securing the data really pretty much on the wire and at in storage and the way that you access it. So I have a little bit of trouble understanding how you can define it as an integration between two stacks, where one stack then somehow changes the data access of the former. But I suspect that would take us a little bit too far out from today's topic. So I might read up on that offline.
Yeah, but just to maybe clarify, that so those applications, they already exist, and Juju and Charms is simply integrating them and orchestrating them. And it turns out that Grafana has an integration with identification, authentication mechanism, and role-based access control. So you can, of course, if you were to use Grafana Cloud, you would have all that already integrated, but you could also have this integrated with another stack. And this is not straightforward to integrate, but that's the idea, to use it through Juju and Charm to be able to properly and easily integrate them together. That's why it's taking a lot of time, because we want to make sure not just Grafana, but all the other apps are also integrating very smoothly with such a complex stack.
Cool.
So I found possibly an error here, which is quite cool, because this is the logs from presumably systemd.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's struggling to rsync something from VirtualBox to the cloud.
Yeah, so this is because you haven't deployed any file server here. We are working on a product, not a production grade, but a highly available storage solution. So if you wanted, you could deploy storage for your ROS bags. We didn't put it by default because it would start accumulate bags, and eventually your machine would run out of memory of storage. And yeah, this is just to prevent this situation. But if you want, you could deploy the ROS2 bag file server. We have a how-to guide for that, and you should see bags starting to synchronize on your.
I think that sounds pretty interesting. That's an option. I do see we've got a little over 20 minutes left, so we'll do some exploring. But I think being able to see the bag options, hosting, visualization, that kind of stuff, that sounds pretty good. No topics available. Waiting for connection.
Can you reach this IP from your computer?
The public IP?
No, the IP of your robot, because here you connecting to the IP of your robot.
Oh, definitely not.
Mm.
This is multiple layers of not getting through. This is VirtualBox within. Yeah. Okay, so Foxglove requires your robot's IP address to be publicly accessible.
No, to be accessible from your laptop.
That was my question earlier about VPNs. This is what I typically describe as a design flaw in robotic stacks. Robots should not ever require inbound connections. And unfortunately, most people still build their stacks like that, where they run servers on the robot, and they shouldn't. Like you've heard me say, robots should be clients, not servers. This is one of them, right? So, but Foxglove Bridge is a server, right? It accepts inbound connections, so you need to be on the same network. That's why, it's been 3 years ago, we wrote that WebRTC connector for Foxglove, based on the same version, by the way, as integrated here, which is the last open source version that exists. And of course, WebRTC very elegantly solves the NAT problem, right? Because it dynamically opens ports and creates a standing connection, and then you can connect over that. In my mind, that's the way to solve these issues. Yeah. Anyways, I think you're running into it right now.
Yeah.
I think you're dead right. Trying to think of a good way to. I don't think
the easiest way would be to set up an SSH tunnel. If you know, maybe Guy, you know which port the Foxglove bridge uses. Do you happen to know that? Otherwise, we can look it up with SS.
Sorry, there's been a couple of chat messages.
Foxglove is by default on all interfaces, I believe.
No, the WebSocket server that the Foxglove bridge is a WebSocket server. It must be running. It must be listening for inbound connections on a port. We can figure this out. I don't know whether this is something that you want to do right now, Mike, but we can do this. If you do an SS dash
should be 8765.
Sorry, I didn't catch that. 765.
8765.
Yeah, okay, we're mixing two things here right now. If you want to do the SS, then do SS-ANTL, and I guess you can already grep for 8765, so we can validate this. Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Giuseppe. Okay, now you can, from your
local machine to the virtual machine, you have to do SSH minus L. Right? SSH minus L, capital L. So from your local machine,
okay.
SSH minus capital L, port that you're exposing locally. So it's going to be the same one, 8765. Column, IP of the machine localhost, you're exposing locally the port.
Mm-hmm. But without a space. So
yeah, without a space, a column in between. Yeah.
So is it port : IP?
Yeah, a local IP. Yeah, so want to say. So this is where you're exposing locally. Port again 8765. Column again. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
And then space user. I guess Ubuntu at public IP of the VM. Public IP of the VM. That's you're it's a local VM. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think this is the issue. So what I've done is instead I've changed the network settings so that it can be a bridged adapter, which means it should share my local IP instead of NAT, where it gets natted and that's not publicly accessible. So I think if I reboot, it should inherit my Windows local IP, and then we should be able to access it without any tunnels.
Yeah, something tells me that that's going to mess up something else. Maybe ROS, maybe. We'll see. It's worth a shot for sure. But Giuseppe, Giovanni, I'm glad to see that I'm not the only one who remembers how to set up SSH tunnels.
I I was cheating. I had to do it recently. They locked all the ports to the LLMs that we're using within the university, so I have to SSH to the thing. So that's why I had it handy here. I don't remember it by heart.
Well, I have to look up the syntax too, but the important thing is to know that it's an option and how it works conceptually. So you know that it's the tool to use.
Yeah, that's what I use to expose an LLM locally, typically, although it's running somewhere else.
I'm not even seeing an IP4 now.
Yeah, bridged.
Yeah, activation failed.
Yeah. No, now you're wired.
Okay, we are. That's not the same, but it is on the same subnet, so we should be good. It's got its own IP. Right, so hopefully this is refreshed with the new IP.
No, but I guess you can just in the Foxglove URL, you can just replace that IP up there
in the URL.
Oh, in the URL.
Yeah, you have to replace.
I can't even see it.
There's a 10. I saw it somewhere.
Yeah, a bit back. Or you can use the GUI, open a new connection.
Would that be?
Yeah, that file, open connection, and then you just put IP there.
I think it was 68.
Verify that, run that SS command again to make sure that it's actually, that Foxglove bridge is actually running, and it might be binding to the wrong post, to the wrong port. Yep, it's not running. Not sure how it's getting started and where do we see the logs for these services running on the robot?
So you'll use the Foxglove reach, yeah, and you can.
Oh, it's a snap.
So yeah, Giuseppe pasted how to get the logs, but you can also get the info of what services are running or not. It could be that because of no IP at the beginning, you see it's enabled but inactive. The Foxglove bridge.
Good. Yeah.
Is that is it not set to automatically start on boot?
Yes, but I think it crashed more than 5 times because of no IP.
That would make sense, yeah. Definition
so
of
this is
schema.log.
Yeah, this is because the message definition changed with the Foxglove, but normally you should have you have connection right now.
Yeah, these are by the way all of the things that robotics companies tell you why booting a robot is so hard, because there's so many race conditions basically, because a lot of it is asynchronous programming, which is why so when we designed Transitive, the reason why we used MQTT, one of the reasons was because at Savio we spent so much time on the reconnection logic. And this is just one flavor of that, right? Like you couldn't start because you weren't connected. Well, how do you know when you should start? How do you know that you can start? What do you do when you connect? And what do you do when you cannot connect? And for us, MQTT was a great choice because it took care of all of that. It's quite nice in that regard.
So here we have a default configuration for Foxglove bridge that lets you just do some basic tail operation, and here, if you're publishing a Docker, I believe it's not listed in the. So you might want to have a look at if you want to change it locally. Snap. So there will be demo configuration that would be common, and there must be something called configuration, then Foxglove Bridge, I guess. Yeah, as I said, we filter. We all list a few topics to avoid subscribing to absolutely every topic on a robot.
I thought Foxglove Bridge subscribes on demand, meaning only once you subscribe. I'm not sure. It's a genuine question, but I was assuming, maybe I was being too optimistic, that Foxglove Bridge would detect whether or not the Foxglove wants a certain topic, and only then subscribes to it on the robot itself. Is that not how it works?
It could be, but we here we ship with a default configuration that kind of is the like a demo configuration, and we've probably just listed some topics to avoid any over subscribing to everything.
Okay, we have chat has suddenly appeared.
I think you can drag it into there. Exactly.
Nice.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Do you really want Turtlebot's simulation or Turtle Sim?
Turtlebot gives me a camera feed.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for. Turtlebot remodel. I think it's that. I wanted to try the teleop out. It looks like we're not going to have time for the ROS bags, but I did want to ask, does it have any visualization for bag data?
Yeah, so by default with the simple file server, you'll get a file server hosting all your files. You can browse by a robot per cycle of recording. Let's say that it's one per day, one folder per day, but if you were to reboot, it would create a second bag, a second folder. And then we currently don't have a proper integration to automatically click on a bag and open Foxglove, but if you right click on get the link of the bag and then you paste it in Foxglove, you'll get to visualize it live. So the recording, you can visualize it.
That makes sense. Thank you. That would have been cool to see, but I think what we've seen is pretty good. I really liked the Grafana page with everything on. You get to see system logs. You get to see so much detail.
You could probably see Foxglove Bridge crashing for no IP at the beginning, and it would have been fun actually to debug everything from there.
I was just wondering while we're waiting, it's 5 times and then gives up. That's the default of systemd, right? Or are you starting?
Yeah. Snapd is built on top of systemd, so it's using that. You could write some changes, or you could even bake inside the service to maybe wait, or no
Yeah,
issue.
and retry later.
Yeah.
No, that's good. I was just asking because 2 days ago, no, yeah, actually today in class they asked me what was the default five times subsystem DB. I think it's Turtlebot 3 Gazebo. Yeah, it's Turtle 3.
Like this.
It should do
No,
tab
the
copies.
package is Turtlebot 3 Gazebo. And then just do tab and Turtlebot 3 world launch.py. But here it's probably gonna want okay.
I've already exported the model. I can see TF immediately. Hopefully it can start to see some other stuff when the sim starts up properly. Of course, the teleop has got to be so slow because it's Gazebo running in a VM. It's going to run like sludge, but it'd be cool to get it working. Let's quit Talker now. I think we've seen that it can receive Talker messages.
Yeah, the server still has the IP of the old IP of the robot before you change the interface. So maybe if you want, you can run this update configuration on the robot, and this should run and tell the server, hey, here my new configuration.
There we go. Nice.
Again, this is supposed to run at boot, but because the IP it probably failed. Yeah.
That makes sense as well. Yeah. Surprised it took so long to get an IP address on startup. It looks like
Gazebo seems to have some trouble. Maybe.
Yeah, it looks like running it in VirtualBox is just not going to happen. It might be because it's trying to use the graphics drivers in its settings, and that's not good in some way. I think
Isn't there a way
sometimes
to run Gazebo headless, where you can, in fact, you might be able to, it might just be a visualization thing. It might already be, can you do a ROS2 topic list? Yeah, so there's more than you see in Foxglove. So you should be able to, if Foxglove, if the bridge allowed you to, like, is forwarding all of that jazz, then you should be able to see it in Foxglove. But I suspect it's not, and we need to do the same thing that you did earlier for the chatter. From my understanding, of course, I'm just following along.
Is this camera image rule part of the configuration?
Oh yeah, you need to whitelist it, right?
I saw camera image, but I'll double check it. Snap. Configuration comment. Oh, it's camera color image raw, but it's producing just color image raw. Sorry, camera image raw.
Yeah.
So yeah, that explains it. So I think this isn't rendering, but it is producing data, but the data is not being shown.
But if you remove the color and restart the bridge, it should immediately be.
Don't know why I expected that to work. Is it Foxglove dash bridge? Okay. Well, looks like the rendering is just, it's a black screen. So
Yeah, it looks like the gazebo is having problem producing the graphical part.
Yeah. Well, I think we had a good look. We got stuff. We got the public facing stuff working. We got some configuration changes. So we showed how to do some debugging and how to do some configuration. I think that's a great tryout. So as we're coming up to time, thanks so much for joining us, Guillaume, and other Canonical folks, and helping us get this working. I think this is a powerful tool that looks like it just needs some config tweaking to get something really good working. Anything from anyone before we wrap up for today?
Thank you for trying out.
Yeah, I hope it was useful. So let's...
Yeah, definitely. Took notes. Yeah.
Good. Let's wrap it up there for today. Thanks everyone for joining. I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.